would you have any conflict with doing this at like 10, just on Mondays? Because packet pickup is 8 to 9.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Should.
Okay.
Except that, Aaron and Scott and I meet at 9:30.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. We can work it out.
So 11?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Is that enough time? No, y'all meet at 9?
9:30.
9:30. Because Aaron has Spanish.
Right.
Yes. So I'm thinking about sending a message out on Parent Square, seeing if my kids can do. Because if they come back and watch it later, I mean, they don't really have to have the assignment. They just follow me and do what I say. Should be fine. Or I could include.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
it'll be okay. I think they should be okay.
You got 4 of them here.
The only ones that I wouldn't have would be ones that are having to pick their packets up themselves. You just couldn't be 2 places at once. And I certainly don't want them to rush and drive too fast just for this. So if you're okay with 11,
Yeah, let me double check and make sure that that works.
I can.
I can't guarantee that I'm thinking super clearly right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I'll just tell them what I can do. But it is okay. All right. Good morning, guys. The ones that I have. Brandon and I are talking about possibly pushing back this time on Mondays, just because some of you guys may still be in transit and having to come pick up your packet between 8 and 9, and that would pull you away from this live time. So I will send out a message to you in Parent Square if we move class time on Mondays. It'll be Monday only, and we're looking at maybe possibly 11 o'clock. But I will confirm that with you sometime this week. Okay, so I'll let you know about about Monday, if it's going to be 8 or 11, okay? So because some of you guys that are having to drive yourself and pick up packets, you'll just have to watch this later, and then you don't have the opportunity to ask any questions or interact. So I'm just trying to solve that problem. So for those of you that are here, we're just going to dive on in and finish up this section. So you may or may not have this, okay? So that doesn't matter, okay? If you don't have this in your possession, you can just stay with me. That's no big deal. It's just any of you guys that are driving right now trying to get to it. But if you're home and you're on, then I need you to turn to page 382. We are going to finish up section 8.1. So we are, so just to recap, on Friday, if you'll turn the page back over to 381, we had two triangles, and we were trying to prove if they were similar triangles. And in order for them to be similar, all of our corresponding angles had to be equal, and all of our corresponding sides had to be proportional. So that's what we did on Friday. So we're going to use the same method. We're going to use proportions. We're going to be using them to find unknown sides of triangles that we already know are similar, okay? So back to 382, we are on example 8.1i, and here is what you have in your book. Okay, so the directions say find the indicated side of each pair of similar triangles. So I know that triangle DEF right here is similar to triangle ABC. And that is given information, I know that. And so I'm looking for these missing sides. So what we're going to do is set up proportions to find them. So I know DE is 5, and he's the one that I have his pair to. I have the measurement of his corresponding side. So I've got DE and AB. Those are corresponding sides that I know both measurements of. And so I'm going to start setting up a proportion. So I know that 5 is to 2 as, and I know this one, DF, this is blue, I don't know if you can tell the difference between the colors, and his corresponding side is over here at AC. So 5 is to 2 as 8 is to, this is my unknown side, I don't know AC, okay? So from here, anytime you have two fractions that are set up to each other, the easiest way to solve for that unknown, which is this right here, would be to cross multiply. So in case you forgot how to do that, you just multiply across one way. So this is 5 times AC which sometimes you would just use an X there, it's the same thing. And then your equal sign comes next, and then we multiply the other way. 8 times 2 is 16. And then this is our unknown, so to get this by itself, since it's being multiplied by 5, I do the opposite, so I divide both sides by 5. So AC equals 16 over 5, or there's a mixed, I would prefer a mixed 3 1/5, or 16 over 5. Either one is acceptable. Okay, so that is basically what we're doing. So let me go through one more example that's in your book, and then we're going to do a problem together because the problems look a lot different than the examples that are given to you. So let's go through the other example. So at the top of page 383, we have a triangle LMR, and we have a triangle TUB. And the measurements that we know, that's 42, that's 3, that's 16, yes. Okay, so I start with the two that I know, the two corresponding sides that I know, which in this case are these two. These are my corresponding sides that I know both. So start with your fraction. It doesn't matter if you start left or right. You just have to keep the pattern right, okay? So we'll do 42. So 42 corresponds with 16. So 42 is to 16 as or equals. Okay, so now I know this side right here, and his corresponding side is going to be RL over here. So this is what I'm fixing to find, right? So I went left and right. So my numerator over here has to be the part on the triangle on the left, so that's going to be LR is to 3. So 42 goes with 16, LR goes with 3. 42 is to 16 as LR is to 3. So there's your proportion. And then this is our unknown LR. I just used LR instead of X. You can use X, but in your problems, you'll just have to be really cautious about that. And I'll show you why. So let's cross multiply. It doesn't matter which way you start, either this way or this way, it doesn't matter. I'm a creature of habit and I typically go that way first. So 42 times 3, I don't have a calculator, I don't know what that is, it must be 126. And then we write our equal sign and then we go this way. 16 times LR. So to get this unknown by itself, I do the opposite. I divide both sides by 16 so that LR is by itself, and 126 over 16 reduces down to 63 over 8, which your calculator will do that for you if you just punch that in. If you like mixed numbers, it would be 7 7/8. Okay? Everybody doing okay that's with me so far? And again, it doesn't matter if you started over here Let me just show you what that would look like. If you decided to start your proportion with this triangle, okay? You could have started with 16. You would have said 16 is to 42. Okay, and then we go back. You have to go right, left, right, left. You cannot go right, left, left, right. Okay, so 16 is to 42, as 3 is to LR. Okay, you could have set it up that way. It's okay. I mean, really, you have 4 different ways you can set it up because you have 4 different parts to this proportion. As long as you set it up correctly and you have like all top and bottom on one or the other, then you're going to get the same answer anyway. Okay. So let's do a problem together, because your problems, like I said, look much different than those examples did. Okay, so let's turn over to page 387, and we're going to start on number 73 today. So we're going to do 73 together. So probably the first thing you notice about this problem is that you don't see any triangles. Not like your examples. Your examples, you were given your triangles and they were already marked out for you and labeled and named and everything, and so you're going to have to do that on these problems. So on number 73, it says that we have triangle ABC. So let's just draw triangle ABC. And you can start wherever. You could put ABC or ABC. I mean, it doesn't matter. You may all do it a little differently. This is how I'm going to do it. ABC. Just going clockwise. And here's what I know. I know that side AB equals 10. So I have to find side AB and put my 10 there. Okay, that has to go there. That has to fit. It does, even if you had put A, B, C, your 10 would just have to go here. Wherever you put AB, that's where it has to go. Okay. And then we have triangle DEF. And we are given the measurement for DE, and it is 30. And in our instructions, it said that these triangles are similar, so I know that all of my sides are proportional. So there are 2 parts to these problems. The first part, A, told us that if BC equals 5, find EF. And then the second part of the problem says if AC equals 15, find DF. So we're going to have 2 separate proportions that we have to set up, okay? So BC is 5, so I have to go find BC and stick a 5 in there. And then EF I'm looking for, okay? So if you want to, you can stick an X there for EF. Okay. So now I can set up a proportion. So I'm going to start over here. Again, it doesn't matter where you start, just find a system and stick with it, okay? So I'm going to start here and do A, B, and D, F. These are my 2 that I know for sure. They were given to me. So I usually start left, just out of habit. Okay, so I know that 10 is to 30 as, and this is the one that I know, BC is 5, and his corresponding part is, you can either call it X here, or you can put EF in there, doesn't matter. Okay, so now I went left, right, left, right. Okay, so I know it's set up right. So at this point, I just cross multiply. So I'm going to go this way. So 10 times x is 10x. And then my equal sign. And then I go this way. 5 times 3 is 15 with a 0. It's 150. Now to get x by itself, I just divide both sides by 10. So basically, I just get rid of that 0. X equals 15. Now here's what I want you to be cautious about. Nowhere in the problem are you asked to find x, okay? That's not a question. So that's the hazard of calling EF x, okay, and not EF, because I don't want to know what x is. I want to know what EF is. So if you're going to use x as the variable for your unknown, you're going to have to take an extra step in telling me that EF, well, you could put it right underneath if you wanted to. So to avoid this, you could stick EF in here and keep EF in your problem, okay? But again, I'm not asking you what x is, so if you pick x, you're going to have to go back and clarify to me what x is. X is EF, okay? Now, to do the second part of the problem, the 10 and the 30, or the two that were given to me at the very beginning of the problem, so I know that they're right. And I also have now been given that AC equals 15, and so now I'm looking for DF. Okay, so here's where you also need to be careful. I wouldn't call DFX if you just called EFX. I'd pick another letter. So I would call, if you're wanting to use a variable, I would call it Y. Okay, otherwise just call it DF. Okay? So, let's set up this proportion. So now you have these numbers that we could use with these. You now know that this is 15. You could use these, but I would advise you not to, just in case you did your math wrong, okay? I wouldn't use this because this is an answer that I came up with, okay? I might have gotten it wrong. But I do know that 10 and 30 are true. That was given to me. So anytime you have that scenario, always use numbers that are given to you that you know 100% for sure they're correct, okay? So when you go to set a proportion, go back to 10 and 30, okay? Don't use 5 and your answer that you hope is right, okay? So 10, so now let's find this unknown right here. So 10 is to 30 as, here's the new guy, 15 is to, so here either put a Y or a DF, whichever you prefer. I'll just put DF. Okay, so now I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to go this way. So I'll have 10 times DF equals 15 times 30, whatever it is. I don't know, I did it somewhere on my calculator. 450. And then to get this unknown by itself, since these are being multiplied, I just divide both sides by 10. So DF equals, I can just drop those zeros, 45. So there's that answer. Okay, now again, if you had plugged in y to your proportion, and this step says y equals 45, you have to take an extra step to tell me df equals 45, okay? Don't tell me what x and y equal if that's what you use, okay? Because that's not a question. All right, so that's what you're doing for the rest of the assignment, 73 through 84. And so some of these have fractions. It's okay. Some of them have decimals. It's okay. Your calculator can handle them. And even if you end up with a complex fraction, like if you were to end up with like 3/5 and 2/3, your calculator can handle that, okay? Don't flip out if you happen to run across, if you set up a proportion and, you know, something like that. Your calculator can multiply. You know, if it was something like this, you would just go 3/5 x equals, and you just multiply those. Your calculator can do that, okay? And then whatever you got there, you would just divide that by 3/5. Your calculator can do that, okay? They're not all going to be whole numbers, fractions and decimals, but they're okay. Your calculator can handle it, all right? So that's all for today. And so we'll be done unless somebody has any questions or comments. Tomorrow, if you have picked up your packet, so far, if you already, that's the word I'm looking for. If you have picked up your packet already, you'll notice tomorrow, the only thing I have assigned is part of a review. And so you don't necessarily need me for that review, but I will be here. We might need to refresh a couple things in the review, I'm not sure. But if you start working on this assignment and you end up having some questions, some specific questions about some specific problems, then we can address that tomorrow. So I will still make myself available to you tomorrow at 8:05 for both the review and for today's assignment if you got stumped on anything. Okay?
Cameron's wanting to know what this lesson is called.
Oh, yes. It'll be 8.1F. Thank you, Cam. Number 73 through 84 on pages 387 to 388. So tomorrow, I know y'all dropped your packets off today. We are giving it a 24-hour waiting period in case any of you had any nasty little bugs in your house that will die over the next 24 hours on your papers. So I will have access to them tomorrow. So you're not going to see any grades today, but I will start tomorrow, starting to grade all your work. So hopefully it looks exactly like it would had you been in class all week. That's what I fully expect. So if you had any troubles, if you get stumped on one, skip it, go to the next one, come back to it later. If you still get stumped, then meet me here tomorrow and we'll go over anything that we need to. You guys have a good day.